All right. I guess we're doing this one again. I mean, why not, right? It might not last much longer, but the Seahawks just went into Santa Clara and beat the 49ers. So the least we can do is say that it matters because it does matter, right? We beat the Niners, and not only is that a huge monkey off our backs, not only is that mentally a big hurdle that the Seahawks have now cleared, but the team's back in the fight. And while I do think that the wild card element of this is very unlikely, I can't completely dismiss it either. So we should continue to talk about this, excuse me, while we can. What do the Seahawks need to happen in these other games for good things to happen for them down the line? What are the results that might push them over the top by the time we get to the end of the season? So we got some games tonight. We got one game tonight, rather, but this one, admittedly, nothing to do with the Seahawks. So, not really thinking about this one all that much. Steelers, Browns, root for whatever, hope for whatever. I don't think there's any angle here. So tonight, you don't have to think about this. But when we get to Sunday, we got to start thinking a little bit about this. So let's just jump right in here with Vikings Bears. Kind of an interesting one. Um, I feel like the Bears are probably they probably lost too many tough games to really be in this, right? They needed to beat the Commanders. They lost on the Hail Mary, and they needed to beat the Packers, lost on the blocked field goal. If they win those two games, they're a threat. But now they're 4-6. They still have some tough games left. We still play them. I feel like they're probably out of it. I feel like you can kind of cross them off. On the other hand, are we really talking about the Seahawks catching the Vikings when they have a 3-game lead? Feels like a lot needs to happen there for that to really end up mattering. Granted, we do play the Vikings, and the Vikings do have a little bit of a tough schedule down the stretch, but it would take a lot for us to catch them. Nevertheless, I'm going to say we want the Bears to win. I think we want the Bears to win, knock the Vikings down a peg, make it a little easier to catch them, and we'll just hope that the Bears get eliminated down the line by some other team. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation. The Bears are probably very, very close to firing their coach anyway. So even if they win this game, if they lose the next one, that could be the end of Eberflus. And that would probably put the team in a situation where maybe they'd improve a little bit, but that's not a playoff team then. You don't see teams fire their head coach, promote somebody from within, and then get hot and make the playoffs very often. Lions Colts, I don't even think it's worth it to care. Like if you want to pretend like it could matter, root for the Colts, I guess, but there's not much here. Lions are probably winning that division anyway, so it's not like we're in direct competition with them hypothetically. And even if we were chasing them, we're not going to catch them. They have the tiebreaker, so whatever. I guess technically root for the Colts, but understand it doesn't mean anything. Honestly, at this point, the Lions winning helps our strength of schedule. That might be worth more. Patriots, Dolphins. I'm going to say we want the Dolphins to win because I want the Dolphins to keep winning and actually have something to play for at the end of the year when they play the Niners because they still have to play San Fran. So that's something that they could do to help us to knock them off. But if they lose this game, that's probably the end. So we need them to keep on this roll here so that that game means something to them because that is actually looking like a winnable game for them right now with the way they're playing and the way the Niners are playing. All right, Buccaneers Giants, pretty easy. At this point, the Giants can win every game they play, or pretty much every game they play. They still have to play the Eagles one time. They still have to play. I think they have to play one other really good team. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but we could use them winning this week. Tampa is getting Mike Evans back, so they may not be completely done. They may not be completely out of it yet. I kind of wrote them off when they got swept by Atlanta, but if Mike Evans comes back and ends up being a big part of what they do down the stretch, they're not done. So a loss to the Giants would definitely make them done. So let's see what happens here. But may as well root for the Giants. They can't really hurt us anymore, right? They're 2-8. They're playing Tommy DeVito at quarterback. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Cowboys versus Commanders. This is another situation where, yeah, let the Cowboys win all the games they want to win. Not really going to make any difference. And the Commanders, they're probably going to waltz to a wild card spot. And one thing that would stop them from being able to waltz to a wild card spot would be losing a home game to the Dallas Cowboys. So, look, like I said, the wild card race is way too competitive for me to feel like the Seahawks are likely to get involved there. But there is still something of a possibility. And a team like the Commanders, who I do think are a little bit fraudulent, going on a losing streak here would definitely make that scenario possible. Chiefs, Panthers, I mean, well, yeah, technically root for the Chiefs, but although really Carolina, like they've put together a little something something these last couple of weeks, and I don't want to act like they're a playoff threat because they're not. But I mean, at the same time, if they beat the Chiefs, then people would be like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? Are these Panthers really gonna go on a run? Are they really gonna get stuff together now?" So I'd rather that not happen. And yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, they're not gonna go undefeated now anyway, right? Like the undefeated dream's over. So I don't really care if they win or lose games. That's something that I know a lot of Seahawks fans care about. I don't. So yeah, Chiefs. And that one, Titans Texans last Monday morning game, excuse me. Um I don't think there's much to say here, right? I know the Titans play a team or two that we're going to want them to beat in the near future, but the issue is it's not like them winning or losing this game is going to affect that at all. So with that being said, there's no angle that I can come up with here that compels me to go one way or the other. So root for whatever you want. That gets us to the afternoon slate, which is very thin. There's only two non-Seahawks games here. We already know what we want in the Seahawks game. Broncos Raiders, I mean, strength of schedule. Let the Broncos keep winning. I mean, that win that we have in week one, I know it was Bo Nix's first start, but that continues to be a win that looks better and better as the weeks go on. That Broncos defense is for real. That Broncos team in general looks like they're for real, and they're starting to put some stuff together. Niners, Packers, I mean, I hate to do it. I don't want the Packers to win. I don't want the Packers to build distance in the wild card race. But I think we gotta just I think we gotta go with it, right? I think we gotta just live with it. The Packers are getting in the playoffs, one way or the other. It's not the end of the world if the Niners win this game because of what it will do to the Packers' playoff hopes, but we just need the Niners to go away. And while I do think the Niners will go away by the end of the season because of how rough their schedule is, they're not if they win those tough games, right? Like the Packers, the Lions, the Eagles, they win those games, um, then they would be involved. So it pains me to do so, but I think we got to just root for the Packers to put the Niners out of their misery. That's just more valuable than anything else. Sunday night football, Eagles, Rams. I think this one's pretty clear cut. The Eagles look like they're going to run away with that division now, by the way, so we're not even really thinking about them in direct competition with the Seahawks. Like I said, I feel like the Commanders have proven that they're a little overrated, and I don't see a scenario where they catch the Eagles at this point. The Eagles, I doubted that team earlier this year, and I still don't love the way they're put together, but they have found something very, very, very impressive on that roster with the way they run the ball. And their defense has really turned it on too. So, yeah, that doesn't really mean anything. What does mean something would be these Rams losing a home game and starting to fade a little bit. So, hopefully, by the time we play them the final week of the season, they're out of it. Now, that's a lot to ask because their schedule does shape up in such a way that they should be at least in the argument, in the fight. But yeah, we need them to take the L this week big time. And Ravens Chargers, I got nothing. Root for whoever you want to root for, hope for whatever you want. I don't think it affects anything. So yeah, Ravens Chargers, take your pick. And that's it for the rooting guide. And this week is very, very important, right? There's a very realistic scenario where the Seahawks are the only team in the NFC West to win this week. All they have to do is take care of business against the Cardinals, count on these really good NFC teams to do their business in the other games in the division, and we might be on top of the pile at the end of it. All right. See you guys later today. Stream with the Hawks Nest in less than an hour now. Starts at noon. Go Hawks.